I was about to head to bed, scrolling mindlessly through my phone like always, when my screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen in years. My heart stopped. Her name. My ex. The girl I once thought I would spend forever with. We hadn't spoken in what? 6, maybe 7 years. Not a text, not a birthday message, nothing. Just silence. And suddenly, out of nowhere, she was calling me. I froze. For a second, I thought about letting it ring out. But something inside me, the curiosity, the ache I never really admitted was still there, made me swipe to answer. My voice cracked a little when I said hello, and then I heard hers. The same voice I'd memorized long ago, except softer now, almost trembling. I know it's late, she said quietly, but I need to tell you something. That's when my chest tightened. Why now? After all these years? I didn't even know if I wanted to hear what she had to say, but my heart was racing too fast to stop. And then, with a breath I could almost hear through the phone, she dropped the words that knocked the air out of me. I'm getting married tomorrow. I sat there in stunned silence, staring at the ceiling like maybe it would have answers. Married? Tomorrow? Why was she calling me, of all people? It didn't make sense. I managed to ask, why are you telling me this? My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. It was low, cautious, almost afraid. She hesitated, and in that pause I could hear everything. The weight in her breathing, the hesitation, the cracks she was trying so hard to cover. It wasn't the voice of someone excited about their wedding. No, it was the voice of someone carrying something heavy. There's one thing you should know before I go through with it, she whispered. My pulse hammered in my ears. Every memory of us came flooding back in that second. The late-night drives, the stupid fights, the way she laughed when she was trying to be serious but couldn't hold it in. I'd buried it all, convinced myself I was over it. But now it all came rushing back, dragging me into the past. I wanted to ask her what she meant, what secret she was holding, but before I could, she cut me off. Please, don't say anything yet. Just listen. Her voice cracked at the end, like she was breaking apart on the other side of the line. And even though I couldn't see her, I knew she was holding back tears. I sat up, completely awake now, staring into the dark room with my heart pounding. Whatever she was about to say, it wasn't something casual. It wasn't a goodbye or a simple confession. It was something deeper, something that could change everything. And just as she began to speak, the line went quiet. When the call dropped, I just sat there staring at my phone like it had betrayed me. My thumb hovered over the screen, debating whether to call her back, but my head was spinning. What could she possibly have to tell me? On the night before her wedding of all nights. To understand why this shook me so badly, you'd need to know a little about us. Her name was Claire. We met when I was in my early 20s, young and reckless, and she was only a year older, but carried herself like she'd lived 1,000 lives already. She was sharp, ambitious, stubborn in the best and worst ways. And me? I was the complete opposite. Quiet. A dreamer. The guy who thought love could solve everything. Somehow, we fit, at least for a while. We had this fire between us, the kind that makes you feel like you're unstoppable together. But fires burn hot, and eventually, they burn out. We fought over stupid things at first, jealousy, trust, the usual stuff couples argue about. But then the fights got bigger. Long nights of yelling, of silence, of pushing each other away, and then pulling each other back. It was exhausting. One day, she just left. No dramatic goodbye, no final closure. I remember waking up to an empty apartment, her side of the closet stripped bare, her key on the counter. That was it. For years, I told myself I hated her for that. But if I was honest, I never stopped wondering why. And now, here she was, on the other end of my phone, saying she was marrying someone else. I lay back on my bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words. There's one thing you should know. What did she mean? Was it about us? About him? The man she was about to marry? I couldn't shake the sound of her voice. It wasn't the voice of a woman excited to start a new life. It was heavy, almost pleading. And the way she asked me not to say anything, just to listen, it was like she was afraid of what might happen if she said too much. I got up, pacing my room, memories crashing in. The way she once told me I was the only person who truly understood her. The way she laughed like the world didn't matter when we were together. And the way she cried once, whispering she was terrified of becoming her mother, trapped in a life she didn't choose. The more I thought about it, the more restless I became. Why me? Why call me after all these years on this night? If she wanted closure, She had 1,000 chances before. But no, this was different. My phone buzzed again. Her name lit up the screen. My stomach nodded. This time, I didn't hesitate. I answered. And the first thing she said made my blood run cold. "Listen carefully," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't have much time, and I need you to understand something before tomorrow." I swallowed hard, my throat dry, heart hammering. "Claire, what is it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. But it came out shaky, betraying me. She took a deep breath, almost like she was summoning courage. "I never stopped thinking about you. About us. About what we had. And now." She paused, the silence stretching unbearably. "I don't know if I'm making the right choice." I froze. My mind was racing. Her wedding was hours away. Yet here she was, confessing that she still felt something for me? Did she want me to stop it? Did she expect me to show up? And what? Sabotage her life? I couldn't even imagine what she meant. I started, but my words faltered. My brain was overloaded with questions, confusion, and a sudden rush of emotions I thought I had buried. Anger, hurt, nostalgia, desire, fear, all at once. "I know it's unfair," she continued, voice breaking. "You've moved on, or maybe you haven't. I need to tell you this before it's too late." The panic in her voice made my stomach twist. I could almost see her pacing, biting her lip, fighting back tears. The thought of her being so vulnerable, reaching out to me like this, it should have felt selfish. But instead, it tore me apart. I wanted to ask her if she loved me, if she really meant what she said. But I didn't. Because somewhere deep down, I already knew that answering could change everything. And I wasn't sure I was ready for that. "Claire, you're scaring me," I whispered, more to myself than to her. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. There's something you need to know about tomorrow. About him. About why I'm doing this. And I can't tell anyone else." My pulse spiked. About him? About why she's marrying him. Suddenly, her words felt like a puzzle I didn't know how to solve. And the clock was ticking, hours away from a wedding that could change everything. "Just listen," she said again. "Please, don't react until you hear everything." And then she whispered something I will never forget. Something that made the air leave my lungs and froze me in place. Her words hung in the air, heavy like a storm about to break. I barely breathed, staring at my phone as if it held the answers to everything I couldn't yet understand. I had no idea what she was about to reveal, but the weight in her voice told me this wasn't small. This wasn't something casual. "Please," she said, her voice low and urgent. "I need you to promise me something. Anything." I whispered, my pulse hammering in my ears. "Don't panic. Don't do anything rash. Just listen until I finish. Then you'll understand why I called you tonight." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me, because I knew I couldn't interrupt. But inside, my mind was a hurricane of questions. Why now? Why me? Why on the night before her wedding? And most importantly, what was so important that she couldn't tell anyone else? I tried to picture her, pacing in some dimly lit room, maybe clutching the phone like a lifeline. Her words painted her anxiety vividly, and I could feel it as if it were my own. My hands trembled slightly. My chest felt tight. I realized that for all these years, I'd imagined closure, imagined her moving on, imagined life going on in neat little boxes. But now, nothing was neat. Nothing was predictable. "You have to know," she whispered, and her voice cracked just slightly. "I didn't choose him the way people think. I didn't fall in love with him the way you think. There's something else. Something I can't explain to anyone else." I leaned forward, gripping the edge of my desk, feeling a cold sweat on my back. My mind was spinning faster than I could process. Something she can't explain to anyone else. That sounded dangerous, secretive, life-changing. I kept thinking I could handle it, that I could ignore it, but I can't. Not anymore. And if you knew, if you really understood, you'd see why I called you. Why I had to tell you before tomorrow. Her voice softened, but the intensity in it made my stomach twist. Every instinct screamed at me to ask questions, to beg for details, to demand answers. But I knew she wasn't ready to give them. She was building something, revealing a piece at a time. And that piece could change everything. I felt a shiver run down my spine. The clock was ticking, her wedding less than a day away, and here I was, on the verge of learning something that might tear apart not just her life, but mine as well. "Claire, just tell me," I said, my voice cracking. "I will," she said softly. "But not yet. I need you to be ready for everything. And then, Just as she began to speak again, a sudden knock on her door froze the moment. Her voice dropped to a whisper so faint I could barely hear it. "They're here." "I can't. I'll call you back in a minute." The line went silent. And that's when the first real sense of dread hit me. Whatever she was about to reveal, it wasn't just a confession. It was something that could change everything. Our past, her future, and mine. Minutes passed, and I could barely breathe. My mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. And then my phone buzzed again. It was a text from her. "Don't come over. You need to know this first." My heart sank. What could be worse than what she'd already hinted at? I opened the message, my hands shaking, and froze. He doesn't know about me, or about what happened years ago. If he finds out, everything, his life, mine, yours, will unravel. You're the only one I can tell. I felt my stomach drop. What did she mean? What could possibly tie me back into her life after all this time, in a way that could destroy everything she was about to build? Then, another text arrived, this one even more chilling. "It's not just a secret between us. It involves someone very powerful. I'm scared they'll hurt me if I go through with the wedding. And I think they're already watching." I read it over and over, heart hammering, mind spinning. Watching? Someone powerful? Her wedding, her confession, and now danger? I had no idea what I was getting into. And at that exact moment, the line rang again. I answered, and she whispered, trembling, "They're here. I don't know how much time we have. You need to listen very carefully." I held my phone so tightly my knuckles ached. Her voice was barely audible over the sound of a door opening in the background. "They're here," she whispered again, her words sharp with fear. "I don't know how much longer." "Claire, tell me what's happening," I said, my voice low, urgent. She took a shaky breath. "The man I'm supposed to marry, he isn't who he says he is. He's dangerous. He has people watching me, tracking me, and he's capable of anything. I thought I could manage it, keep it hidden, but I can't. Not anymore. You're the only one who knows the truth." My mind reeled. Danger. Secrets. Years of suppressed feelings suddenly crashing into the present. And yet, even as terror gripped me, I felt the old pull, this desperate need to protect her, to be part of her life again. "I need you to come to me," she whispered. "There's no time. You have to trust me." I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my coat and keys and ran out the door, ignoring the late-night streets, ignoring the fear curling in my stomach. Every second felt like hours. Every shadow seemed alive. I could hear her voice in my head, guiding me, urging me forward. I arrived at her apartment building to see a sleek black car idling nearby, someone slipping a hand into the doorway, and Claire standing in the hallway, pale but defiant. The moment our eyes met, I knew everything was about to change. Before I could speak, she pulled me inside, slammed the door, and whispered urgently, "There's something else, something I couldn't tell you over the phone. He knows about us, about what happened years ago. And if we're caught together tonight, it won't just ruin the wedding. It could ruin us forever." My chest tightened. Us forever? After all this time? Then, as the engine of the car roared to life outside, she turned to me with a look I couldn't read. Fear, relief, something deeper. "I don't know if we'll get another chance," she said softly. And just as I reached for her hand, the front door of the building clicked open. A shadow fell across the hallway, and a voice I never expected called out, Well, fancy seeing you two here." The shadow in the hallway stepped closer, and I could finally see him. The man Claire had been about to marry. His expression was calm, too calm, with an edge of menace I hadn't expected. But Claire didn't flinch. Not once. She grabbed my hand and pulled me behind her, as if daring him to make a move. "I'm done hiding," she said firmly. "No more lies. No more pretending. I won't let you control me, or my life." For a moment, everything froze. Time slowed. I realized how much I'd missed her courage, how much I'd underestimated the woman she had become. She wasn't the girl who left me years ago. She was stronger, sharper, and fully herself. The man sneered, but there was hesitation in his eyes. Claire's calm defiance had shifted the balance. I realized then that whatever this wedding was meant to be, whatever secrets were at stake, she had taken control. And I was there, not to rescue her, but to stand with her. "I don't know what happens next," I whispered, my voice almost trembling. "But I'm here. We'll face it together." She squeezed my hand, a small smile breaking through the tension. That's all I need. Minutes later, the man left, his presence receding into the night like a bad dream. Claire collapsed into my arms, tears streaming, laughter mingling with relief. The city outside was quiet, but inside, everything felt louder, our hearts beating, our breaths catching, the weight of years finally lifting. We talked for hours, piecing together the fragments of the past and the present. She told me everything. Why she had left, why she had kept the secrets, and how she had been terrified of being powerless in someone else's life. I listened, not judging, just absorbing the truth of who she was and who she had become. By the time dawn crept through the windows, I realized something profound. Life doesn't give second chances in neat packages. Sometimes it throws chaos at you, tests your courage, and makes you choose. And sometimes, just sometimes, it gives you a chance to reclaim what was lost, stronger than before. We didn't know what the future held. The wedding was over, the secrets revealed, but our story was far from over. And that was okay, because for the first time in years, we were honest, unafraid, and together, whatever together would mean from now on. As we stepped out into the early morning light, I glanced at her, and she smiled, tired, wary, but real. And I knew that sometimes love isn't about timing or certainty. It's about being brave enough to face the unknown, together. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I couldn't shake the feeling that the night's events weren't entirely over, that someone, somewhere, had noticed us. But for now, it didn't matter. Tonight, we had each other. And that was enough.